I was born a male and I was born with male and female parts. Now, if I had the chance to ask a person this, like, I want to ask them, like, which hormones, like, persist the most? Because I know it's not like, I know, most times it's not like, I'm not gonna say all the time, but I know most times it's not like complete balls and penis and vagina as well. You know what I'm saying? Most times it's more than one than the other. You know what I'm saying? That's crazy. Like, what hormones persist?
When you just need a little bit of fine tuning.
I want to see what kind of questions they ask, chat. If it's like, I'm not gonna ask no ignorant questions. I really couldn't think of any. I'm really wondering like biological questions, like what hormones, or like I don't even know. What kind of goes through your head? I don't even know.
Were you born with ovaries or any of the female?
That's what I'm saying. It's like, cause they that'll be crazy. Cause I don't think your body could handle both. Like, fully grown, I mean, at the same time. That's like, I think that's kind of crazy.
Genitalia?
I was born with ambiguous genitalia. I had a penis, and then I had like a pseudo-vagina opening, but they went ahead and closed that up and let me move on. I'm a boy.
If you were alone in a room with an intersex person, what would you ask?
Is there a specific bathroom that you prefer to use? Have you ever been fetishized?
What sex is like for you?
Ooh.
Okay, see all these deviants? Chat, this is not kind of the questions I'm finna ask. Like, some disgusting questions, deviant questions. People always want to equate deviancy with being free and being liberated. Doing despicable stuff with being free and being liberated. I'm not saying sex is despicable, but I'm saying it's like you're equating. Sex is supposed to be private, chat. It's like you're equating. You know what I'm saying? With being free and being liberated, which is not the case at all. I want to ask the real questions, so. Like, do you feel like, because these are the people that I would consider like, these are the like main people I would consider like transgender. You know what I'm saying? Like, not even transgender. That's really like what do you feel like? That's the only type of person I would ask that general question to. Like, who do you feel more like? Do you feel like masculine or feminine or like what is that to you? Because you're intersex. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna ask a man that was born a man, that grew up a whole man, and then switched over at the last second playing for the other team. Like, bro. It's not you don't have the same struggles. It's like, do you like for these people, do you get periods? Like, if you are born with both, do you get periods? Do you not get periods? Is it like can you get pregnant? That's crazy. Okay, that's the only sex question I would probably ask. Like, can you get pregnant? And then probably more of like the hormone stuff is kind of crazy. I mean, okay, chat. I get their sex questions, but it's kind of redundant to me to keep constantly ask a person that's like slight, like, you know what I'm saying? Do you like penis? Do you like vagina? Like, bro, they have the sexual organs. Of course, it's gonna be like anything else. You know what I'm saying?
Hi.
Hi.
I'm Matthew.
I'm Johnny. Nice to meet you.
I would imagine, chat. I would imagine.
Wait a minute. Something is very familiar here.
Yeah. Did you go to Federal High?
I totally did. Nice to hear from you again.
Yes, nice to hear
Other
from you
side of the curtain.
So overall, for a person like me,
Hey, yo, get this man off the show. He's not supposed to be here. He already knows who the person is under the curtain.
who's very ignorant
I ain't gonna lie. I like the tattoos.
on the topic.
The fit's going hard right now,
Someone
chat.
who doesn't really know much about individuals who are intersex.
What is intersex?
Ooh, Yeah,
That's a good question right there.
Is an umbrella term that is able to explain lived experiences of people who have bodily variations. And that can go to chromosomes, it goes to genitalia, it goes to hormones. There's like 40 different intersex traits that are just like on the books. And like,
damn, that's a lot. I didn't even think about that. So you can have male parts, but your chromosomes don't reflect that. That's kind of crazy. So do you have periods? I actually don't bro, that's kind of crazy to understand. I can't wrap my head around that.
Then I'm gonna be on that. I'm doing my research.
A lot of people didn't even know that their intersex trait is an intersex trait, but share the experience of intersex people. It's such a wide range.
Is that similar to being hermaphrodite?
Yes, but what we do with that word, we don't typically use that word in our community. It's
they're hermaphrodites, but it's like that's such a I don't think anyone in this century is using the word hermaphrodite to describe somebody who has both male and female. I mean, that's what they're called. That's what they are. But it's like, I don't even know. It's like calling somebody a Negro right now. It's like, dude. It's like, no. That's like calling. No, that's a terrible example. Calling somebody a Negro, because, bro, I'm not a Negro. All right. First of all, I'm brown. All right. I don't know what this black and white shit came from. Because for me, when I was a little kid, I never saw myself as, oh, I'm a black kid. I always saw myself, I'm a brown kid. Because that's literally what I am. My color is like, you choose a crayon from the crayon box, I'm brown. No matter, my hair is black, my skin is brown. Makes sense. But anyway, it's like calling somebody like a Homo sapien. It's like, yeah, we're all Homo sapiens, but who the hell is using that term?
Of a slur by non-intersex people said, but intersex people tend to sometimes use that as a way of reclaiming it and as a way of being really proud and happy about who they are.
The surgery that you mentioned, what kind of surgery is that?
Yeah, so I had a cosmetic surgery when I was younger that was non-consensual that pretty much closed. It's gonna get real weird. Pretty much in the scrotum, there's where testicles drop. Mine had not fully fused at that time, so it was like in the middle stages of being like a labia and scrotum. There was no vaginal canal or anything like that, so they just went ahead and closed it up.
So do you feel that children?
Yeah, that's what I thought usually happens, because they usually be like, all right, you already got the penis and the balls and everything, but it was like it's like described as like half. You were almost there. You're almost there, brother. You're almost there. You just didn't make the full cut. So we just go close it up, call it a day. And and I understand for these people specifically, that's where they can run into problems. Because then they'd be asking themselves, what truly am I supposed to be? You know what I'm saying? Am I supposed to be a male or am I supposed to be a female? That's why I can see these people having problems. Not grown men talking about, I don't see it. I really don't see it. Sometimes I think it's literally attention seeking, and sometimes I think it's like some backwards trauma that these people be having. Grown men talking about this stuff. I'm like, bro, you're 40. What are you talking about? But it's like, I can see how these people might have these problems. These people specifically might have these problems, because then it's like, it clicks for me. It's like, because it's like, bro, you literally were like halfway in between both.
Should be able to wait until the age of consent.
I think that if it's not medically necessary, we should hold off surgery until the age of consent, just so that the kid has time to really feel what their body's like.
But then, yeah, I understand that point, but then it's like, it's kind of confused. It kind of gets like, I understand why they do it when they're a kid, because they want the kid to be like, to have some type of normalcy in their life, and to not be confused and not be like, hey, what am I? But they're gonna still like she said, or like he said, or like they said, they're gonna still grow up and be kind of confused, because when they figure this out, like, oh, this happened to me, or this is what I was. It's like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, what am I? Like, you know what I'm saying? At that point, I would understand. I understand that point. I'd say keep it. I'd say keep it.
You changed anything about your body
I think if it's not, I agree. I agree with them. If it's not like if it's not going to be a health issue, I think you should hold off surgery because that's like a part of you. That's like something that was a part of you, and now it's missing, and now you're just wondering like what am I doing? You know what I'm saying? Walking around lost.
You weren't comfortable with?
I have not yet changed anything on my body. I have been like in the accepting stage of it. I think I've had an internal pressure of like, I need to reclaim my genitals for myself and like be able to put my foot down and say they're mine. And so I've been thinking a lot about gender affirming surgery and vaginoplasties on the books. It's coming. We'll see when.
Do you feel that?
Okay, I understand that. Well, be pressing too much. Trying to go live chat. Chat, you gotta teach me how to pick up girls. I don't know how to do that anymore. I don't know if I ever knew how to do that. I'm gonna be honest with you. Yeah. Yeah. So anyway,
your
chat.
parents fully educated you on what intersex is?
I don't feel that at all. My dad didn't know what that was. He felt like he did something wrong.
Dude. It's like if you're a parent, right? And then you had a child like that. How are you even supposed to educate them? You know what I'm saying? Because you yourself don't even know what that is. That's like you being an American and grew up in an American household and then asked to educate this child about Chinese, actually educate adopted Chinese child about China and what their, you know what I'm saying, what their heritage is and stuff. It's like how am I supposed to do that? Because I'm forward to this too, and everything I'm gonna say is basically what bro, it's not gonna be the same. It's not gonna be the same if an actual native person were to do this. Then you can it's kind of crazy.
Or anything like it was his fault that I was intersex.
What are your pronouns?
I use she, her pronouns, they, them pronouns. Pronouns to me is like, they're kind of just fun, you know, move throughout in different spaces.
When did you discover you were intersex?
About when I was 18, I started losing weight randomly, 50 pounds one week and gain it back the next week. So I went to the doctors and they were like, we need to check a whole bunch of stuff. And then they diagnosed me with having partial androgen insensitivity syndrome. But I don't like saying syndrome because...
Right.
Ugh.
And what does that mean exactly?
Yeah, so my body is not able to uptake and receive testosterone signals in the same way. And so my body had a really hard time fully masculinizing. So my voice didn't really drop. Body hair is pretty limited. I grew breasts when I was 10. It's pretty a trip.
Oh, wow.
When did you realize you were intersex, and then how did that...
That's what I'm saying. It's like, so she has more estrogen than testosterone, but she has more of the male parts than the female parts. That's very interesting. Because when you actually break it down, you really think what I think about it is X and Y, X and Y. They really could be broken down into that really X and Y. You know what I'm saying? The parts really could not match what's going on biologically.
Affects you growing up in school?
Growing up through school, I was always seen as an androgynous kid. I had breasts, and I went to the boys' locker room. I've been in the girls' locker room. I did it all.
We went to middle and high school together. I don't think you were out as intersex at that point.
Mm-mm.
To what extent were you like keeping yourself hidden as an intersex person? Like, I've also probably been in the locker room at the same time as you.
Mm-hmm. I didn't even know until I was after high school. Feelings around like my queerness, feelings around like transness, and like I didn't tell nobody, but I dreamed that I was gonna be pregnant and give birth. And so like I've always felt like I was hiding that part, but never the intersex part because I didn't know it existed.
Yeah.
I know you mentioned that you grew breasts when you were younger. Do you still have?
Oh yeah.
Oh wow, okay.
They're sure, happy with them, always have been.
So I was wondering what sex is like for you.
Ooh, we love a spicy question.
Good.
Different areas feel better for me, but it's kind of the same to a degree. I think I have a little bit more of like what I would call like dissonance of some sort, like a distancing from like my actual genitalia.
Okay.
Like I'm all about the other person.
How does reproduction work for someone who's intersex?
For intersex people, reproduction can be so varied in the way that some people are infertile, some people can have babies that are intersex.
Is there a specific bathroom that you prefer to use, or maybe were even forced to use?
Some internal thing told me not to use public restrooms. My whole childhood, I have never once used a bathroom.
So, that's the same internal thing telling me not to use public restrooms. To me, I never like using public restrooms because I just believe they were nasty. I still do, and they are. So
at school.
Now
I use the women's restroom, but I don't use public restrooms really still.
Have you ever been fetishized for being intersex?
Yeah, actually.
That laugh,
now that you say that, I did sex when I was
younger.
younger. I feel like I made myself this fetish in a way and like tailored myself into this fetish of like giving the best of both worlds. Like that's how I sold. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword in a way. Like I knew there was a fetish for quote unquote hermaphrodites or whatever.
With what you were doing, I'm sure that, had to make money some way.
Oh, yep. You already know. Gotta get what you gotta get. It was just like a need more than like, I want to go do this.
What type of people are you sexually attracted to?
Honestly, I feel like I just move with the flow, more leaning mask-centered in general, not men particularly, but anyone who has masculine energy.
Do you disclose that you're intersex on the first date or it's like the fifth date? How does that normally go?
So for dating, honestly, I wear everything on my sleeve. I'm out there open. If you know me, you probably know I'm intersex out the cut.
So what would you say are some of the big goals of the intersex community in terms of like social or political change right now?
I think we've been working on for many years is to end non-consensual intersex surgeries, at least get those pushed back until the age of consent. And another big one that we have is the social education aspect. I have to engage with the medical community very different than the average person. The erasure within just the medical field itself, there are times where doctors have blacked out people's records so they can't actually see what happened. Some doctors don't even know what intersex means. It's interesting to me that you prefer to do surgery on these people when you don't know more about their traits. To hear that doctors are doing this to
this speaks a lot upon like just people in general. It's like we would rather this is what I'm saying, like people would rather ignore the problem than actually like instead of actually trying to learn about it. This is why I never understood this, like these race the speaking on race. I've never understood it because it's like when people be like, "Oh, ignore racism. You don't need to talk about it. Why are we always bringing it up? It happened so long ago, bro. You guys want to ignore a problem in order to solve it. Ignoring a problem is literally the number one solution and how to never solve it. It is literally the number one solution. Go and ignore it. Never go to work. Just don't go to work and ignore it. They fire you, ignore it. It like your bills are due, ignore it. Guess what? The problems just keep piling up. That's what's happening right now. The problems keep piling up. And I understand what she's saying right now because it's like we'd rather, because it's hard to understand. It's hard to understand one because you literally could never experience it. That's literally why I don't be listening to no 40-year-old man talk about, oh, I feel like this. It's like, dude, you literally spent 40 years of your life as a man. You really cannot experience what it's like to be a woman. You literally couldn't. You couldn't, at whatever fiber of your body, you literally could not be a woman. You'll always be a man. You literally always, forever, till the day you die and past that. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I'm saying. I literally could, like, I could never experience or, like, literally, like, because empathy is, I think it's, like, sympathy or empathy. I forget one of those two are, one of them are emotions through, like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, that must have been hard. And then one of them is through a shared experience. One is through non-shared, and one is through a shared experience. I can literally never share this experience. I don't know how hard it is. Because I literally will never understand. I'll never understand how hard it is. I'll never understand anything, the struggles or anything that these people go through. Because I will never have that type of life experience. It just won't be a part of me. You know what I'm saying? I can do as much surgery as I want, chat. I can do as much surgery as I want. At the end of the day, they were born. They were from the womb. They came out from conception. You know what I'm saying? They came out like this. So I could never understand. I could never understand as much as I would like to. I could try to understand. I can gain as much knowledge as I can on the topic, but knowledge doesn't mean. Knowledge is just bits of information compared to actually living through it. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, it's just all in my head, and I get to go to sleep the same way I woke up. You know what I'm saying? These people have to go to sleep as themselves. So, hey.
People consciously, I think, trips a lot of people out and, like, makes them take a step back.
Do you think more people are intersex than we realize?
Oh, hands down, 100% yes. There's more and more traits that we're having discourse about being included, like PCOS.
Because which ovaries produce abnormal amount of...
And some other ones, and, you know, a lot of people have PCOS. So, like, I truly do believe there's a lot more intersex people.
I don't know what that means. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know.
Not everyone has ever tested all of their chromosomes and their hormones and all that stuff.
Right.
So who's to know?
I can actually relate a little bit. Only because, like, I have a condition called polycystic ovarian syndrome.
Yeah.
Which means I don't have a regular period. Coming to terms with that condition has definitely been a journey.
How you're talking about it and how you engage with it really reminds me very much so about intersex experiences. Funny because PCOS is actively, like, a discussed and debated whether it's intersex or not as a trait, because it does engage with hormones and production and reproduction.
You know, intersex affects every aspect of your life. What aspects of your life does it affect that you feel like are not obvious to people who are not intersex?
In day-to-day, really, it's like kind of paperwork stuff. It'll say biological sex, male or female, and, like, that's kind of hard to tick. Seeing that every day and seeing, like, you being erased every single day, and, like, now these nonprofits who do LGBTQIA work, but where is the real intersex work? So thinking about...
That is true. That is true. Yo, LGBT, I tell you how to do your job and stuff, but these are the actual people you need to be serving, bro. Y'all be serving mental disorders and all that junk. These people actually have... Their mental disorders stem from biological disorders. You feel me? Which is actually... These are people which actually have conditions, which actually have, like, things that people... Like, it's... Not can't explain, but it's hard to explain. You know what I'm saying? So help these people. These are the people you actually... These are the... I would think these are the OGs. These are the OGs that you need to be helping out. Because these people actually are bored like this. Y'all just come up... Y'all just... I don't know, bro.
Intersex experiences and intersex erasure in the day-to-day. Intersex people get, like, the least funding out of the whole LGBTQ community as a whole. And then for someone to put intersex on to be more inclusive, but not to do intersex programming, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
That's
Do
crazy.
you think that gender politics are becoming overly trendy?
I think the
Almost
gender
definitely.
identity discourse coming into like main stage is so good, but it's gonna ruffle a lot of feathers. Because, you know, it's gonna push back against like every cultural piece of how we live our lives.
What is the most common mistake that well-meaning people in the general public make in regards to you or intersex people in general?
Very much so wanting the general public to like understand that trans has to do with gender identity, whereas intersex has to do with biological sex. It's slowly growing.
That's what I'm saying. This is an actual good conversation, chat. Not to cut it off too short, but I'm gonna cut it off too short. Well, it's not too short. It's like damn near the end. But yeah, this is some good conversations. These are like questions I don't know. I just would I wouldn't even think about asking, but if I had the opportunity to ask, like if a person came up to me like, "Hey, I have this thing